It has destroyed friendships, broken up marriages, and as one of the major causes of domestic violence, it's claimed lives. But despite its downside, evolutionary psychologist David Buss claims that jealousy is a useful emotion that's kept far more relationships together than it's ruined. He's the author of a new book called The Dangerous Passion: Why Jealousy is as Necessary as Love and Sex. David Buss, good to have you here.
Thanks.
It sounds schizophrenic to say jealousy is dangerous and necessary in the same title of the same book. How do you come up with that?
Yeah, it's one of these things, people want simple answers to it, and jealousy, of course, is an extremely dangerous emotion. It is the leading cause of spousal battering and spousal homicide worldwide. But people interpret, if their partner lacks jealousy, that their partner is not in love with them, that their partner is not sufficiently committed to them. Also, here's the other thing, is that there are real threats to real relationships by real rivals. Jealousy functions to back off those rivals and to protect the integrity of the relationship. Furthermore, jealousy is important in fending off threats to infidelity, not just immediate threats, but those that are lurking on the horizon of a relationship.
Let me get down the road to those in a second, but I've always been told that jealousy is a sign of insecurity and immaturity. I mean, you can't deny that, can you?
Yes, well, that's the rap that it's gotten in psychology, and it's often attributed to that. But the fact of the matter is, if you look at married couples, if you look at dating couples and look at who stays together, those who stay together show jealousy early on in the relationship. Those that lack jealousy tend to break up over time.
We've all heard of relationships, or maybe even been involved in relationships, where one partner tries to make the other jealous as a way of drawing that person in. Do those relationships really last? I mean, isn't that an example of an early playing of games that will come back to haunt people?
Yes, it's partly playing of games, but people do it for very important functional reasons. One is to test the strength of the bond. They evoke jealousy in their partner to see how committed their partner is to them. Second, they do it to ignite sexual passion within the relationship. And third, they do it to increase commitment in the relationship. It is people, no one wants someone who no one else wants. Other people, if other people find our partner desirable, our desirability increases.
But again, because of the statistics on domestic violence, you admit that it can be it's a test, but it can be a very dangerous test.
Absolutely, a very dangerous test, and what I would say is especially dangerous to women. And in particular, if their partner is cutting off their relationships with friends and family, monitoring their time excessively, or undermining their self-esteem, putting them down, making them feel bad about themselves, that's a very dangerous sign. Those cues are statistically linked with violence.
In studying the emotion of jealousy, is it fair or is it possible to say that either men or women are more jealous?
Yes, a fascinating question, Matt. Turns out the answer is a little bit complicated because both sexes are equally jealous. That is, overall, both sexes experience jealousy with the same frequency, and the psychological pain is the same, but they differ in a number of aspects. One is the triggers of jealousy. Men are far more easily triggered by cues to sexual infidelity.
In other words, their partner has a one-night stand.
One-night stand, any kind of sexual contact. Women are far more upset about cues to emotional infidelity, signs that their partner is devoting time, attention, commitment to another woman. In fact, this gets to the very definition of infidelity. Men tend to define infidelity in strictly sexual terms. Women have a broader definition that includes sexual infidelity, but also emotional infidelity.
Are there long-standing reasons for that difference?
Yes, basically they go back in time, having to do with what we call the problem of paternity uncertainty or genetic cuckoldry. We know that in the modern times, somewhere between 9 and 12% of all children have genetic fathers that are different from the person they believe to be their father.
So you're saying men are getting jealous about sexual infidelity because there is an underlying fear that maybe they are not the father of the offspring of this relationship.
Absolutely, and they don't think about that consciously. No man gets jealous and he thinks, oh, I'm not the genetic father, but the signals of sexual infidelity have been linked with genetic cuckoldry over time.
One of the things you write in the book that's not going to let a lot of people sleep very soundly is that oftentimes if they get jealous and suspect infidelity, their suspicions are right on, that they're not often wrong.
Yes, let me give you a very quick anecdote to that. This is a true story. A man on Christmas Eve looked out of his bedroom window and noticed that the neighbor's Christmas tree lights were blinking in synchrony with his wife's Christmas tree lights, concluded that his wife was having an affair, brought him to a psychiatrist. He was diagnosed as having delusional jealousy. Turned out the wife was having an affair and was having an affair with that specific neighbor.
So is this biological, do you think? I mean, is there something that's triggered in our bodies that makes us jealous and makes us suspicious, and oftentimes correctly?
Yes, I think that there is. I think it's emotional wisdom that we've inherited from our successful ancestors. Jealousy is an emotion that you see across cultures, not just in our particular culture.
Another thing you write in the book that got my attention is you think it's probably better to accuse your partner of infidelity, even if you're wrong, than to ignore the possibility of infidelity in the long term.
That's right, because infidelity is the most destructive thing for relationships. We know that infidelity is the leading cause of divorce worldwide, and it's like a smoke alarm. You want your smoke alarm to be very sensitive because you don't want to miss a fire, either in your house or in a relationship.
Men's infidelity has really very little to their happiness in the marriage or relationship, doesn't it?
Yes, well, jealousy it's a psychologically painful emotion. It's a terrible thing to experience it, but it's like physical pain. Without physical pain, we would die early deaths. Without jealousy, we would be susceptible to rivals and defection from our partner.
So the bottom line when you look at a relationship is say, okay, a little jealousy goes a long way, but make sure you stop before you get to what triggers severe jealousy.
Absolutely. A little jealousy, or I would say a modest amount of jealousy, is very important.
All right. The book is called The Dangerous Passion, Why Jealousy is as Necessary as Love and Sex. David Buss, thanks very much.
Thank you.
Up next, what you need to know